Saturday morning, March 21st, 2026, Buddha Dhamma, compiled by Somdit Prabhuta Gosa Charya. English name, P.A. This is the last part of 18.5, part 4, from page 1821 to page 1830. The highest fruit of concentration, samadhi, and the spiritual accomplishment, transcending samadhi. We're reading 18.5G, the last part of the chapter. Unity and harmony of the path factors. As mentioned above, the objective of right concentration, samadhi, is to act in the domain of practice for panya, wisdom, to make the mind the most suitable environment for spiritual qualities to work in unison in order to realize the truth, to eliminate mental impurity, and to reach the state that is completely free from dukkha, suffering, stress, agitation. It is described earlier how the 8 factors of the path act in harmony and in mutual supportive with right view, samadhi, acting as the leader. Here we will conclude that the first 7 path factors help to generate support and reinforce concentration, give rise to right concentration, samadhi, which can be applied effectively according to one's needs. Concentration yields results and further one's practices, leading to the final stage of 2 more factors. Samanana, which is right knowledge. Samavimutti, which is right liberation. Gautama Buddha referred to these 7 factors as requisites for concentration. Samaparikara. They are the elements, the accompanying conditions that supports and the determinants of concentration. Concentration possessed of these requisites is referred to noble right concentration, Ariya Samadhi, which leads to the final goal. Gautama Buddha, the Blessed One who knows and sees, accomplished, fully enlightened, has well proclaimed the 7 requisites of concentration for the cultivation and perfection of right concentration. What are these 7? They are right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, and right mindfulness. That one-pointedness of mind surrounded by these 7 factors is called the noble right concentration, with its basis, upanisaya, support, foundation, and requisites. When there is right view, right thought is suitable for action. When there is right thought, right speech is suitable for action. When there is right speech, right action is suitable for action. When there is right action, right livelihood is suitable for action. When there is right livelihood, right effort is suitable for action. When there is right effort, right mindfulness is suited for action. When there is right mindfulness, right concentration is suitable for action. When there is right concentration, right knowledge is suitable for action. When there is right knowledge, right liberation is suitable for action. When the 8-fold path, Attadandika Magga, has been developed to the point of completion, an instant result occurs in which all the path factors function in unison, accompanying giving rise to profound knowledge and realization of the truth, and eliminating the kilesas or asavas, the defilements and taints which overlays and opposes the mind. This occurrence in which the path factors functions concurrently is respectively called the path, magga. Because this instant, all the path factors are truly integrated. When the path operates in this way, there are resultant fruits, bala, namely the knowledge of truth, satya, release from mental defilements of your kalesas, and freedom from dukkha, suffering. If everything proceeds in order, there are 4 occasions or stages in which the path operates in a potent and conductive fashion, refers to as the 4 paths. In the same way, there are 4 fruits. Collectively, they are called the 4 paths. Ariya Magga, the 4 noble fruits. Ariya Bala, the path of a sotapanna, the stream entry, the fruit of stream entry, and the path of a once returner, the fruit of once returning, and the path of non-returning, the fruit of non-returning, and the path of arihatship. So, anagami, sakagami, and arihata. In reference to the 8 factors, the accumulation of the path is called the Eightfold Path. In reference to the practical application to an active functionality, which is the 4 stages, is called the 4 path, Sito Magga. The joint operation for spiritual factors in a single mind moment, bringing desired results to completion, is referred to in the Tipitaka as Dhamma Sammaki, harmony of spiritual qualities. The harmony of spiritual qualities is equivalent to a bodhi, meaning awakening. It is not only the Eightfold factors which act in unison, accompanying each other during a single moment of the path, but the 37 factors of enlightenment, bodhi pataya dhamma. In any case, the 37 enlightenment factors can be distilled into 8 factors of the path. For this reason, when the term magga is used, this is necessary incorporate relates to indriya, spiritual qualities or faculties. One may rise the question of how is the several path factors can operate in a single instance, especially one may ask how the factors related to sila, moral conduct, like right speech and right actions, are involved in such a situation. To answer these questions, let's look at the comparable example of someone who is able to fire a rifle or shoot an arrow with great accuracy and efficiency. On the occasion of an archery competition, we see this individual gain victory by hitting the mark of excellence, sin, the bullseye. And she accomplished this deed in a single instant. A superficial glance may lead to the conclusion that this person simply has a steady hand and will leave it at that. But a deeper inspection of the causes and conditions for the steady hand and the accuracy of the shot is, in that instant, may reveal a long period of training before this event. This person has trained in developing correct posture by focusing on the position of the entire body, the feet, the legs, the arms, and the shoulders. She has trained in how to properly grasp the tool, the weapon, taking aim, estimating distance, finding the right balance of strength. She has sharpened her skills, her wits, developed resourcefulness and resolve, and strengthened concentration until there arose skill and efficiency, and ability to shoot instantly, and a feeling that the action happens automatically and effortlessly. We must take into consideration all these factors which has reached completion when we witness the person's displayed with accuracy. It is the sum total of physical poise and competence of self-assurance, concentration, and mental dexterity. In other words, all the factors of physical fitness and mental preparedness and maturity, understanding, and sound judgment function together when shooting the arrow in a single moment. In retrospective, the physical capacity or capability of mental capability and wisdom capability in that moment are fruits of a lengthy training. The ability to shoot the arrow accurately in the results of months and years of practice. This matter is related into the differences between individual practitioners, especially in regard to the level of proficiency or potency of spiritual faculties, indriya. Some people attain results early with only a little amount of training. Others train for a long time before attaining results, but their practice proceeds with ease. Others, meanwhile, must train for both a long time with great difficulty before reaching success. And finally, some people, no matter how much they train, are incapable of attaining success. Besides the inherent differences between people, spiritual attainments and the speed of such attainments depend on other factors. In particular, the correctness of a specific spiritual practice, the presence of a good guide or a teacher, a person's physical state of health, a person's physical environment. Gautama Buddha classified 4 different ways of practice, patipata, leading to spiritual accomplishment. Number 1, abhinya, higher knowledge. A person's practice with difficulties and gains higher knowledge, abhinya. Or slowly, dukkha, patipata, dana, abhinya. Number 2, a person's practices with difficulty but gains higher knowledge quickly, dukkha, patipata, kimpit, abhinya. And number 3, a person practices with ease but gains higher knowledge slowly, sukha, patipata, dantaha, abhinya. And number 4, a person practices with ease and gains higher knowledge quickly, sukha, patipata, kipa, abhinya. Concentration, too, is a factor determining the level of difficulty in the practice and the speed in which a person attains knowledge. It was mentioned earlier how a Dharma practitioner may develop insight at once by relying only on a rudimentary level of concentration, and thus a person may even realize the final goal of knowledge and the destruction of the asavas. Asavakaya, the knowledge of the destruction of the asavas. Someone who first develops concentration and attains concentration absorption, jhana, however, is able to build a firm foundation for the development of insight. This is made more clear in the context of the 4 ways of practice mentioned above. A person who has attained the 4 jhanas is described as practicing with ease, sukha, patipata. For someone who practiced the meditation on foulness, on the perception, on the loathliness of food, or the recollection of death, which only leads to the first jhana or access concentration, his practice will be arduous and less cheerful, dukkha, patipata. The following teachings by Gautama Buddha describes the way of practice in which the 37 factors of enlightenment are linked to the 8 factors of the path. From a superficial perspective, these practices may appear easy. It is true for someone who is prepared, they are easy. But for someone who is unprepared, they are difficult. And such a person may have to engage in many other practices before he or she is ready. Bhikkhu, monks, when one knows and sees the I as it actually is, when one knows and sees form, eye consciousness, eye contact, the feeling of pleasure or pain, or neither pain nor pleasure that arises with eye contact as conditioned, then one is not infatuated by the eye, by the form, by the eye consciousness, eye contact, feeling, pleasure, pain, neither pleasure nor pain that arises by eye contact as conditioned, etc. When one abides infatuated, unfettered, unbeguiled, discerning danger, then the 5 skandha of clinging reaches a state of no further group, and one's craving, which leads to renewed existence, is accompanied by delight and lust, and pursues of various stage sense impressions is abandoned. One's bodily and mental troubles, one's bodily and mental torments, one's body and mental passions are abandoned, and one experiences bodily and mental pleasure. The view of a person such as a right view, his intention is right intention, his effort is right effort, his mindfulness is right mindfulness, his concentration is right concentration, and his bodily action, his verbal action, and his livelihood have already been well purified from that start. In this way, the Noble Eightfold Path comes to fulfillment and completion for him. When he develops the Noble Eightfold Path, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, satipatthana, are also come to fulfillment and completion. The 4 right efforts, the 4 paths to success, the 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 spiritual powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment also come to fulfillment and completion. These 2 things, serenity and insight, occur in him together, jointly, evenly together. He fully understands by direct knowledge those things that should be fully understood by direct knowledge. He abandons by direct knowledge those things that should be abandoned by direct knowledge. He develops by direct knowledge those things that should be developed by direct knowledge. He realizes by direct knowledge those things that should be realized by direct knowledge. And what things should be fully understood by direct knowledge? The answer to that is the 5 groups of clinging. The material form group affected by clinging. The feeling group affected by clinging. The perception group affected by clinging. The volitional formation group affected by clinging. The consciousness group affected by clinging. And what things should be abandoned by direct knowledge? Ignorance and craving for existence. And what things should be developed by direct knowledge? Serenity and insight. And what things should be realized by direct knowledge? True knowledge and deliverance. In relation to some of the qualities described in this chapter, the following teaching by Gautama Buddha presents a summary of all things. Monks, being questioned by those wandering ascetics, all the wandering ascetics, so all the groups of Jain and the groups of Hindus. Another persuasions, you should reply as follows. Friends, chanta mulaka, all things are rooted in desire. Friends, mana sikara sampava, all things have attention as their source for existence. Friends, basa samutaya, all things originate from contact. Friends, vetana samosarana, all things converge on feelings. Friends, samadhi pamukha, all things have concentration as a leader. Friends, Sattha apa ateya. All things have mindfulness as governing principles. Friend, Banutara. All things have wisdom as its pinnacle. Friends, Vimutti Sara. All things have liberation as essence. Friends, Amotagata. All things merge into the deathless. Friends, Nipita Pariyosana. All things culminate. All things culminate in Nipita, Nirvana, Nibbana. Now, it's good to note that we said earlier that during those times, all these monks were from a wealthy family, and most of these groups of modern aesthetics are all educated people, comprising Satana Dharma, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Similarly, we could classify it as the Dharmic religions and the Abraham religions, which would be like the Jews, the Catholics, and the Muslims. Those are the Abrahamic religions. But so these groups of monks are all Dharmic religions. Satana Dharma, Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. They're all scholars from rich families. And that's good, noteworthy to understand. A similar passage states, monks, a monk lives the holy life, brahmacharya, with the training, sikha, as its blessing, with panya, wisdom, as its pinnacle, with vimutti, liberation, as an essence, with sati, mindfulness, as the governing principle. And how does the brahmacharya, a holy life, have the training, sikha, as its blessing? Here I have laid down the training in virtuous conduct, sila, for the disciples in the Dhamma, and the vinaya, the discipline for the sake for instilling sattha, faith in those who do not have faith, and increasing sattha in the faithless, for those who don't have faith or don't believe. In whatever way I have laid down the sikha in sila, the training in virtuous conduct, those disciples practice and train in the training rules, so observing them fully, not in a defective, patchy, or tainted way. Moreover, I have laid down the training in the principles of the holy life for the disciples, for the sake, for the complete and the utter end of dukkha, suffering. In whatever way I have laid down the training in the principles of that holy life, those disciples practice and train in the training rules, so observing them fully, not in a defective, patchy, or tainted way. In this manner, the holy life has the training as its blessing. And how does the holy life have wisdom as its pinnacle? I have taught the eternal law of Dharma to the disciples for the sake of the complete and utter end of suffering. In whatever way I have taught the Dharma, just so the disciples discern these teachings completely with wisdom. In this manner, the holy life has wisdom as its pinnacle. And how does the holy life have liberation, vimutti, as its essence? I have taught the Dharma to the disciple for the sake, for the complete and utter end of dukkha, suffering. In whatever way I have taught the Dharma, just so the disciple contact these teachings by way of liberation. In this manner, the holy life has liberation as its essence. And how does the holy life have mindfulness as its governing principle? Here the disciples are well attentive, inwardly, vigilant. Thus, I will cultivate and fulfill the training in virtuous conduct, which is yet incomplete, or else by way of wisdom in these respects. I will sustain the training in virtuous conduct, which is complete. I will cultivate and fulfill the training in the principles of holy life, which is incomplete. Or else, by way of wisdom is these respect, I will sustain the training in the principles of the holy life, which is complete. I will completely examine and discern by way of wisdom in the respect of those things I have not yet completely discerned, or else by way of wisdom in these respect. I will sustain the complete discernment of things. I will contact by way of liberation those things, yet not contact, or else by way of wisdom. In the respect, I will sustain the contact with such things. In this manner, the brahmacharya, the holy life, has mindfulness as its governing principle. That's the end of 18.5, which I read in part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. And that was in the middle of page 1830. And Buddha Dhamma.